Hello and welcome to Doonhamer Diaries, the podcast where we go back in time and relive the highs, the lows, the challenges and everything in between from the players and staff who live and breathe our beautiful game. I'm Emily Copeland and today I'm delighted to be joined by Chief Executive Officer at Queen of the South, Dan Armstrong. He started out in goals for the reserves, now he's calling the shots as CEO. At just 27, Dan became the youngest CEO in Britain, and from the pitch to the boardroom, this is his story. Dan, welcome to Doonhamer Diaries. Thank you very much for your time this morning, for agreeing to come on.
No problem.
So we'll start, obviously, how did you find yourself in Dumfries? You obviously joined in 2013 as the part of an apprenticeship goalkeeper.
I was at an exit trial in Leeds, so I played with Burnley when I was younger. Wasn't good enough there and went to an exit trial, which is essentially hundreds of people turn up, play trial games, if you will, in front of loads of different scouts, and it was actually Stuart Rome and Eddie Warwick that had picked me out. I'm not actually sure why. I think I was terrible on the day, to be fair. So I ended up getting really lucky. I ended up getting a letter from the football club inviting me up to see if I could come to an open trial day at Palmerston back in 2013, and obviously that's all I wanted to be, was a footballer. So it was a no-brainer for me, and my parents were brilliant and could support me in doing that and trying to go and be a professional footballer. So yeah, no, that's how it came about. I got a letter through the post, I agreed, came up, and fortunately got signed from there.
Were your playing days like as a young player, and did you always want to be a goalkeeper, or was there another?
No, I've always been a goalkeeper. I think I liked the gloves when I was younger, so I remember just going down to Hampden Sports Centre, it was called, when Mum and Dad would take me on a Saturday morning and play, and I ended up just being in goals. I think my first game, I burst my nose and we lost 10-0. And obviously since then I really thought that goalkeeping was for me. I'm not sure why I decided that. Obviously being 5'9" and 3/4, I was never destined to be a goalkeeper. But yeah, no, I loved it. Ever since then I was a goalkeeper. Always wanted to be a goalkeeper. And yeah, I don't know why it appealed to me so much. I mean, it's a very difficult position. I wasn't brilliant at it. And yeah, no, I always loved it.
You also provided emergency cover on the bench during I think around 2021 while you were the community development and commercial manager. We'll talk more on that in a minute. Any memorable or standout moments from that time?
Yeah, no, I love my time as a player here. Obviously, it was full-time for 3 years. I suffered a lot with injuries, but you made some great friends and met some great people along the way. Working at the football club and playing every day, getting up and being able to represent the football club as a player is an absolute privilege. And I think anybody lucky enough to do that has a real honour to wear the badge with pride. Unfortunately, I was never at the level to go on and have a kick-on career and represent the first team. Which would have been a dream, but seeing all the young players coming through, people living the dream of being a footballer is magnificent. The 2021 time, the COVID time, was a bit strange actually. I think we had 3 goalkeepers at the time, and obviously during COVID it was very difficult. People weren't letting players go out on loan due to obvious reasons, and we ended up having an injury crisis. Where we didn't have any goalkeepers fit. I think at the time 2 of the younger goalkeepers had got injured, and we couldn't get anybody in on an emergency loan due to circumstance. And I just remember getting a phone call saying, Dan, you're going to come in and you're going to sit on the bench. You need to come up and train. And I ended up doing that for then 3 months. I was on the bench at Hampden against Queen's Park in the Scottish Cup. It was a great experience. I mean, I represented the club more when I wasn't actually a player than I did when I was a player, so I don't know what that said about me. But yeah, no, it was an amazing experience, and just to be back involved showed me how much I actually loved playing and probably missed playing.
You touched on it briefly before, but how big of an influence did your family have on your playing career, obviously, moving over 130 miles away at such a young age?
Yeah, no, my family have been a great support for me. I've got a brilliant support network around me still. But yeah, my family are a massive influence. They've been brilliant. They were the ones that were allowing me to obviously move up here, supported me with that and really gave me a footing. 'Cause it's really difficult. I moved up here when I was 16, so you have to grow up pretty quickly, understanding how washing works, how to try and cook. And there was obviously a lot of challenges with that, and a lot of great people at the football club to help me out with that as well. Obviously, you've got Kev, who's been here for 40 years this year, and he was helping me. We were washing right at the start. We were doing little deals that I'd help him do the groundwork on a Saturday morning if he could do my washing for the week. So it was a steep learning curve, but no, I was supported magnificently. I've got a great family, obviously. My mum, dad and my brother were very close-knit, and they helped me move up, and they supported my dreams. And as long as you repay that with hard work and endeavour, that was always the rule, that as long as you can look back and say you tried your best in everything you did, you'd have no regrets in doing that. And my parents were formidable in supporting me and pushing me towards doing what I really wanted to do in my dream. The only caveat was that my mum said when I moved that I had to stick in at school and do some extra additional courses while I was up here, so I had to oblige to that. But no, it paid off in the long run.
Absolutely. So you then moved up into the community development manager role and then into a dual role as the commercial manager. Can you tell us a little bit about what they both involved day to day and how did they sort of come about in the beginning?
Yeah, so I think I touched on it earlier. I was injured a lot, or it felt like every week I was injured. So it was probably a time when I knew I wasn't getting offered an extended contract and that my footballing dream was sort of coming to an end. And you sort of know, I knew as a player that I was never at the level that was required to go on and have a sustainable career. And at the time when I was injured, it was a Scottish water project that the club was running, where we'd go around all the primary schools and discuss the importance of hydration, the eat well plate and all that sort of stuff, and they go and deliver like core PE to primary schools. And because I was injured, I was always the one that had volunteered to go out to the schools while the boys were training and go out and do that. So it was really eye-opening because I'd never considered it as a career, and then ended up just doing the soccer camps as well during that time and really enjoyed it. And towards the end of that season, I'd been pulled in by the club and asked if I'd consider doing the community role. As I say, it was something I'd never thought of, so I obviously discussed it with my family and thought it's a great opportunity to stay in the industry that we love. And I obviously love football, so to do anything within football I treat as a real privilege. It was somewhere I then classed as home up here, so to extend that and have an opportunity to shape a community programme and develop that was an easy decision in the end.
My next question was, did you always see yourself in that type of role, or did it just come up at sort of the right time for you?
Yeah, no, I was very, very fortunate. I don't think I'd planned for it at all. Sometimes I think the best things happen when they're unplanned, and as I say, I was fortunate enough to get presented that opportunity, and then when I was given the opportunity, it was the same work ethic as I had as a player. I just needed to work as hard as physically possible, whether I was the most talented or not in that area didn't really matter to me, because I'd know that I'd work hard enough to try and make that up, that it wouldn't be through a lack of hard work that we could succeed in that. So now we obviously sit here with a thriving community trust that's been founded in 2017, and the impact that we have locally, that was key. From all the feedback, whether it was going out to fans and seeing things that Queen's needed a bigger presence in its community and to care about its community. And for me, Dumfries is Queen of the South's Dumfries, and the community supports us to no end, whether it's buying shirts, coming through, watching the team, whether it's coming to the arena, supporting that. And shirt draws loads of different elements to support the football club, that we needed to care about our community. So it's a pleasure to say that our community supports us and we well and truly support our community.
Who would you say your biggest role model was from your early days, either on or off the pitch, and what would be one piece of advice that you've taken from them and still with?
Biggest role models, I've always loved football and I'm a big Burnley fan, so obviously there was a lot of role models on the pitch that were Burnley players. Whether they were good role models or not at the time, it didn't really matter. They were just icons in how they conducted themselves. But I think you look at loads of different aspects of people that you respect, people that have got in a position that you then want to be in yourself one day, and you look up and pick bits out that they do. So I'd say it's a collaboration. I want to be a lifelong learner and pick up loads of different elements of people's traits that are really good, and how can I mould them to suit me and make me and what I do as a job be better for the club going forward. Give myself the best opportunity at improving every single day, and I think when you come in and you can improve every single day, even if it's 1%, 0.5%, as long as you're moving forward, that's moving forward. So in terms of role models, there'll be loads. Brian Jensen was my favourite player when I was growing up, at Burnley in goals and things like that, but then you've got loads of different influences. Here at the football club, the board have supported me brilliantly in my role, so a massive thank you to them. Obviously, I've mentioned my family already, who pushed me on. I've got my girlfriend and her family that are a massive support network up here for me, and yeah, it's been fantastic. I don't think a role model needs to necessarily be a big icon or famous. I think you look at people every single day. You look at people that come in and work really hard. You look at the time that yourself and volunteers at the football club give up, and as a person that's deemed to represent those, be the face that represents that, I need to make sure that I pick up traits that Emily Copeland's got, where she works tirelessly, voluntary, and comes in and works really hard to better herself and improve the club. And we've got loads of different people like Sandra, Andy, and loads of people along those lines that do that, and they're role models to me. And how can I take that attitude and bring that to us?
Moving on to the community side of things, you've played a huge part in the growth of the club's charity arm, the Queen of the South Community Trust. Why was that important to both you and the club and the community?
I touched on it earlier, that community is massive. Obviously, that being my original role, it's something I'm very, very passionate about. And there's not a negative thing that you could say about helping your community. I think that we look at football clubs now, and they are the pillars of the communities. They are the ones that will open the doors to people, to help people. We've got obviously 5 different pillars, whether it's our food hub, our breakfast clubs. We've now gone from 1 breakfast club to 3 breakfast clubs. We've got our after school provision, where we pick children up from school, from 3 different schools, to then get a meal. Football, physical activity, homework club, Doonhamers. We've obviously now got a community team that we never had from the ages of 2014 birthdays to 2019. We're near on 150 children on that programme. We've got our autism football. We've got loads of different activities, our employability, kick off your career. We've got our social south that we've ran. We've got so many different avenues now that we work with, and that's not even touching on our partner work with all different people within our community. And I think if we can fundamentally show people that we care about them, then they'll start caring about this football club as well. We're trying to take away the importance. Obviously, the Saturday afternoon's so important to everything. We obviously want to win every single week. Fundamentally, we're a football club that needs to win and needs to be a success to get people right behind it. But if we can impact people on a deeper level in our community, then we can always hold our heads high on that front and say that the wee boy or wee girl that has a school visit from our community ambassadors, whether that be club captain Matty Douglas, Benji, Brennan, Niall, Ben, that are going into schools and seeing them. Maybe that's their first impact that the football club's had, and maybe that's what makes them fall in love. And who knows, then we go and have a new fan. We could have a potential new player of the future. You never know where that leads. And I think that's the beauty of football, is that we all remember our first impact that football has on us, whether it's a last-minute goal, the first time you get carried over a turnstile, or get through the turnstile, or walk up the steps to Palmerston, or whatever ground it is that you go to first. Football has this innate feeling, and it has something that it can trigger in people that's unexplainable. I think if we asked every single fan, every single person that comes through the door at Palmerston, the first memory of football, they could all tell you something different, whether it's a family connection, whether it's a story. Everybody's got different stories that make places so special. And I think that's why it was massively important for us to go and reach out to our community in loads of different ways. We want to reduce every barrier there is to attending football games. We want to reduce every barrier there is to accessing a meal. And we believe that football has the power and is a massive vehicle, and there's no denying the power that football clubs have in that front. So yeah, massively, massively important for us to push that.
Obviously, how are the club using football to tackle social issues and challenges within the community? Obviously, you touched on it with the Food Hub, the Breakfast Club, the Football Memories group that takes place as well. So, yeah.
Yeah, just on that, that we tackle the social inequalities, and I think that's because of the power of football and that it holds. We have the ability to, so why wouldn't we? Obviously, in an ideal world, nobody would have to do these provisions, but we're not in an ideal world, so it's how can we adapt and overcome and understand the needs of our community to push that forward, to get people engaged with a football club. And as I said, I think that football clubs have that power to make you feel a certain way, which reduces a barrier. So anybody that's coming into a programme that we run, it's always the first step that's the hardest. And I think that being at a football club, that first step's a lot easier. It's a place that a lot of families are familiar with on a Saturday at 3 o'clock for what could be over 100 years with a family connection at this football club. So that first step is a lot easier being a football club. We're obviously just normal people engaging, talking about football, talking about relatable things. And yeah, as I say, the football club focuses on physical and mental health. It focuses on poverty prevention. It focuses on employability. It's got a massive education programme with 31 school partners. It's now got its football club that runs through that. It's got walking football. It's got the Alzheimer's group that you talk on that runs every Thursday. It's got its food hub. It's got breakfast clubs. It's got after school provision. It's got autism football. It's got loads of different cross-curricular activity that means that we are able to engage with everybody.
How high of an importance do you see the development of sort of grassroots and the influence of the young fans? Obviously, we're seeing more and more youngsters attending the games and the new community teams, which seem to be doing very well so far.
Yeah, young fans are the future of any football club. They're the lifeblood, they're the future adults, they're the future families, they're the future everything. So if we can get people hooked in and caring about Queen of the South, we speak that we've got 150 on our community teams. That's a great start. 150 families are connected to the football club. The Extra Time programme's got an extra 106 families every week that are using Palmerston for good. And I think a shout out to the young team that have come and made a great atmosphere with the singing. It's fantastic to see young people want to be involved. I think as a whole, Dumfries as a demographic is an ageing population compared to the national average. But to see so many youngsters want to be involved, and I think that stems from loads of different initiatives, and I think you start seeing the benefit of the community programmes as you see our demographic of fans becoming younger. We look at the third kit design, where over the past 2 years we've had over 3,000 entries of primary school children wanting to design Queen's top. And then, obviously, when it comes to life, you've got young Jensen that's designed it this year. He's got frame shirts at his school. He's seeing players. He's a massive, massive Queen's fan. To see all the team wear his kit, meet the players. I think it goes a long, long way. And obviously, the great work that the community team are doing, Ali, Fraser and Kieran are obviously doing a magnificent job implementing strategy that we've got to engage that community and engage younger people. And yeah, it's massively important, and I think everybody will agree that the atmosphere that the young team have added, whether that be at home grounds or away grounds, massively felt. I know that we appreciate it, and obviously the first team, when we're chasing a goal or we've scored a goal and the young team are all there singing and banging the drum and creating an atmosphere, it's fantastic.
And then last year you took on a massive challenge of cycling the length of the UK for the aid of the Community Trust with Gavin, the physiotherapist. So just tell us a little bit about that and what that experience was like for you.
Well, it's an experience I'll never do again. I sort of got roped into that by Gav. Gav had always wanted to do Land's End to John O'Groats, and he's a keen cyclist. I'm absolutely not. And we thought, Gav said he wanted to raise money for the Community Trust, and I said, right, well, that'll be brilliant. So I sort of just tagged off the back of Gav's great idea. Well, what he thought was a great idea. What a challenge it was. But the fundamental was it allowed us to work with Summerhill and give over 100 season tickets out, jumpers, hoodies, Queen's things, and raise funding so that people that potentially had a barrier to attend football games didn't have that barrier anymore. But yeah, what an experience! I'll never forget it. There was loads of ups and downs on the journey. I definitely couldn't have done it without Gav. He was a force to be reckoned with over the 10 days. But yeah, it was fantastic, and I think if we can implement that as a football club, you're always representing something bigger than yourself. And obviously that got me through it, thinking about what challenges people are going through on an everyday basis. So if I couldn't just keep moving my legs round and round on a bike, then I had a problem. Because there's far greater challenges that people in our region are facing than cycling a little bit. So that's how we sort of got through it. It was a bigger picture for us. But yeah, it was stunning. The country that we were blessed to live in is magnificent. So I got to see a whole host of different things. So no, it was brilliant.
What would you say you're most proud of in terms of community impact? I know there'll be a lot of big moments. Any standout moments where you saw the club really make a difference off the pitch and across Dumfries and Galloway?
Yeah, there's obviously a lot, so it is really hard to pinpoint it. I think that there's two core memories I've got. Was at a breakfast club when we started that in 2017. That was sort of our first project that was away from football. And it was I'll never forget, one of the young participants came up to me on a Monday morning when I was buttering the toast and had said, could I get some toast? Yeah, absolutely. And it was 2 bits of toast, and then came back and got another 2 bits, and then came back and said they were still hungry. Could I get another 2 bits? I was like, you must be really hungry. What did you have for your dinner this weekend? And the answer was that they had the free school meal on the Friday. And to realise that I was always very fortunate that my parents were able to provide me with meals over the weekend. Was very, very fortunate to always have things and do things. And to hit home that young person hadn't eaten since Friday lunchtime, 12 o'clock, to then what was breakfast club Monday morning at 8 o'clock was staggering to me. And it made me realise that however long I'm at the football club, that breakfast clubs and food provision will be a massive part of everything we do in our community. I believe that no child should go hungry. We're in 2025, that there shouldn't be a child that's not getting a breakfast. There shouldn't be a child that's not getting fed on a Saturday or a Sunday, and that they're just having a glass of water over the weekend. So that was massively impactful for me, and I carry that every single day when we're doing community initiatives, that if we can just impact one person's life positively with a programme that we're running, that is more than worth doing. And then secondly, the other one that sticks in my head was the third shirt a couple of years ago. We did the mental health initiative where we blacked out the shirt, and then we just put a QR code to a training course, and we just wanted people to have a voice that maybe didn't feel they had a voice. And that obviously we know that the biggest killer of men under 45 is suicide, and it's something very close to my heart. And to read in the paper one day that it had helped somebody go and seek therapy, and made them feel that they could go and seek the help they needed to get over that was massive. And it just showed to me that the power football clubs harness is far greater than 3 p.m. on a Saturday. It shows that we are carried everywhere and every day, and we are a massive part of our community, and that was massive for me as well.
Moving on into your current role as Chief Executive Officer, you were officially announced in May of 2024. What was that moment like for you, as well as for your friends and family?
For me personally, it was a massive honour. It's a club that I hold so close to my heart, that's given me a foundation. My whole adult life has been built around this football club, and I've had so many opportunities presented to me by the football club that I'll be forever indebted here. Queen of the South Football Club's played a massive part in my life and shaping my life, and to be deemed the person that can then come in and lead the club on that front was a massive, massive privilege, something I never thought that had ever happened. I don't think, as I said earlier, I never really planned for any of this career to go the way it has, and to be entrusted with that role to represent a club this size and to represent every single person in it, I treat with real pride, and it's an honour, and it's something that I know I'm just a person that will come in and try and make things better, and then this football club will go on far longer than I will. So I appreciate that I'm just here to do my bit, make it better and try and move forward. But this football club's got a special place in so many people's hearts, and I feel fully responsible for that. So yeah, it was massive pride, and I think obviously I'd said earlier that my mum had said I had to do education as well as playing football, so I went on and did my master's degree during COVID, while obviously it was playing and while working full time. I undertook that, so to show that hard work had been reciprocated and noticed by the football club that helped me achieve that was huge for me, and a massive pride for myself.
I was doing a bit of research and found that you're one of, if not the youngest CEO in Britain. Do you think that will bring a sense of pressure or freedom to your role on a day-to-day basis?
There's always pressure in a role like this because, as I said, you're representing that many people, and it's that important to so many people. You feel like you're representing the whole region, and I hope that comes across. Working tirelessly to make this a bit that people can be proud of. That's the aspiration, is that people can come to Palmerston and they're proud of the team that's on the pitch, they're proud of the community work that goes on, they're impacted in some way by this football club. For me, the football club's impacted me so deeply. I understand what football clubs can do to people, and that's what we want to relay. We want to go and express that. So yeah, there's always pressure. There's pressure in every job. I think there's so many different pressures. But I always look back to that story I just spoke of the young girl that's no eating in 2 days. That's real pressure. So yeah, I'm fortunate enough to know that the pressure's because we want to do, and it's not a negative pressure. It's a pressure because we want to succeed and give the football club the best opportunity to do that.
What do you think your favourite part of the role is so far, and what would you say your biggest challenge is since you've transitioned into your role of the Chief Executive?
There's challenges every single day, and you never know what's going to get thrown up at a football club. You obviously have good results, indifferent results, bad results, and it's all part and parcel of football. It's how you can stay isotonic and positive about that, and how do we keep a positive mind frame, and how do we change things to get better? What can we do this way? How do we analyse that? What do we do? How do we engage more people? How do we do certain different things? So I'd say that's a challenge, is how do we improve all the time? Where do we need to improve? Highlight different areas, and it's sometimes you make good decisions, sometimes you make bad decisions, and it's the thing is, as long as you know that you're making the decisions that you feel are best for the football club going forward. As I say, I'm just a representative of the football club. The football club's far bigger than any of us. So if I can go to bed every night knowing that I've given my absolute best to improve it, then you can go to bed happy. In terms of successes, we have loads of different successes. I say the football club's got that many different focal points, whether it's yourself coming in and doing the foundation apprenticeship, getting nominated on a national stage. The football club managed to play a part in that journey for you and give you a platform to now go on to do college and be doing these podcasts and expressing what you want to do and go on and hopefully get a career in the media. We've had the same with different media personnel in the past come through and do really well and all have careers in the industry now. So that's a massive pride. Whether it's getting volunteers come in and sharing their experiences and managing to help people and go on to university and do different things, whether it's someone just comes in and goes, I really enjoyed that today, thank you very much. And I think the successes are all the little wins. So all the little stories that come out of football clubs, the Jensen I've mentioned, the kits being designed, whether it's the people that come in every single day, and Ian, a Club 1919 coming in and doing their bit, and you can see the passion that comes through a football club, and that really is a reward for me.
How do you think your playing experience helps you in your work and your role to this day?
I think being a footballer is very, very difficult. It's such a difficult industry, and it's made up of fine margins. To become a footballer, you need a balance of things. You need ability, you need hard work first and foremost, and you need a little bit of luck. And I think that's the main aspect to everything. You need a little bit of luck on your side. But yeah, the fundamentals of trying to become a professional in anything and become the best you can be relies on the same things: desire, determination, hard work, passion. And you take all those aspects ahead of being just fundamentally gifted or talented at that point. I think the saying goes, hard work beats talent every time when talent doesn't work hard. So I've always had that in me, that it's all about hard work. And I feel that if you can take hard work, passion, commitment, and carry that from any background and industry, you can make it a success. And yeah, that's what I've learnt from my playing days, that there's so many characters that all want the same thing, and how do you pull so many different characters from different social backgrounds, from different backgrounds, in the same direction. And I've managed to work with some great people, some great managers that have helped and shaped that, and you look at them and you go, they've had really successful careers. I've played with some players that have gone on and done some amazing things. I think, to note just where we're sat, you can see Lyndon Dykes is top there, who's gone on to become the club's record transfer fee. Managed to spend a lot of time with him, playing with him over the years and picking up key aspects of what people do. So fundamentally, you learn a lot of transferable skills working in football, and that sets you up, I do believe.
For those who are maybe not as aware, I know every day will be different, but what does a typical day sort of look like for you in and around the football club?
Oh yeah, they're very different. It fully depends on what we're trying to do. We've obviously got a very, very small off-field staff in here, so it's all trying to see what our strategy is for the next 3 months, trying to work out, obviously, the community side. We've got the community events coming on, so it'll be planning. Like today, we've got a Christmas planning meeting, and we're in September, and we're looking towards doing our Doogie Dash, our schools tournaments, our Christmas fair, our Christmas hospitality offerings, how we're going to do all that. And yeah, no, a typical day can be vastly different. It's a lot about meeting different people, communicating what the football club can do. In any one day, you could go from speaking to 5-year-olds at breakfast club to speaking to national companies to try and get them on board with sponsorship, then speaking to the manager, speaking to different things, speaking to the youth staff, watching youth games, trying to get a gauge of absolutely everything that's going on in the football club to see where we can improve it. And it's obviously speaking to fans. I'm obviously based quite openly within the club facilities, and seeing, and I hope that people understand I'm very open and have a conversation with everyone. So a lot of it is just communicating, speaking to different people, whether it be a fan that's been here 70 years and wants to give a bit of advice or feedback and taking that on board, or then again speaking to 5-year-olds on our community programme, or speaking to the community department, speaking to the girls in the shop. Completely different. A lot of it's communicating and understanding where we want to go and how we can do that.
Looking forward to the future now, where do you see Queen of the South going in the next 5 or so years, both on and off the pitch?
Yeah, we want to be successful. On the pitch, we want to be as successful as you can. And sometimes that's difficult because you've got other teams doing exactly the same. And there's 42 teams in Scotland that every Saturday want to win. And you're one of those 42, and you're playing another one of those 42 that want to win. Don't get me wrong, the football club wants to be in the Championship. We feel we're very capable of operating at the Championship. We're a full-time team, and we'd love to be back in that Championship, and that is the aspiration, as soon as possible. This league's very tricky with a lot of good teams, and as I say, it's very, very competitive. So it's putting a team on the pitch that can be very competitive and compete at the top end of League One currently, and to aspire to be promoted in that front. Off the field and as a club as a whole, I think what we'd love to see is Dumfries youngsters playing football, being impacted at this level, using our community platforms to engage, whether that be with sponsors. We've got great sponsors that support us. We've got a great community network now that we're engaging with our community locally, so it's bringing it all back to Dumfries is Queen of the South and Queen of the South is Dumfries. I've been at the football club now 12 years, and the growth in that 12-year time from when I first arrived, there was no Queen of the South Arena. That now being there, the development of the tennis centre, that coming forward impacts us more, and we're starting to create this world of sport. So over the next 5 years, I'd hope that we have a world of sport engaging with more and more people in our community to create a more financially viable football club, living within our means, but increasing our revenues, giving us a bigger platform to improve what we've got here. I think the fan groups that have supported, whether that be Club 1919, strengthen relationships with all our fans and how we move that forward and get Dumfries right behind Queen of the South. And hopefully in the next 5 years that equates to success, our community pillar to be more successful, our commercial pillar to be more successful, and our on-field to be more successful. And if we can do that over the next 5 years, then football can change very quickly, and hopefully we're very, very successful.
How would you say, obviously from a club and community perspective, how you'd want people to feel when they think of Queen of the South, obviously having such a large presence within the community and across the whole of Dumfries?
Fundamentally, I want people to think of Queen of the South and know that Queen of the South cares about its community, that we care about every single fan that walks through that door. And every fan will have a different opinion of what caring is. To a fan that wants to come in, buy a jersey and watch the game, they want to see a win. So that's how we do that, and that's how we can tick that box for that fan, is can we win every Saturday? Now, obviously, no, we're not going to win every Saturday, that's part and parcel, but can we give everything? Can we have a football club that identifies with fans that walk through, whether that's passion and hard work and ability to be successful, and show that Dumfries mentality of never giving up and working very, very hard represents the town? Or if somebody said, oh, what's Queen of the South to you? Or Queen of the South really looks after me, they allowed me to do this, that, and now I get to watch it and build connection. I think connection's the key word. I want Queen of the South to be that connector for people, whether it's people's families coming to games, offering different things. But if Queen of the South can fundamentally show that it cares about its community will fundamentally care about Queen of the South, as we know that it's a community that is massive. So yeah.
I know that it's a fast evolving industry, but what role do you think technology and innovation's currently playing in clubs, and how big of a role do you think it will continue to play in the future?
Yeah, technology is always evolving. I think you look at loads of different things. You've got sports science now that plays a key role in looking after players and the mechanics involved in training load, the GPS distances, the sprint distances, the load that players are under. I think you play a lot of games and it's understanding more and more now the physical capabilities. But yeah, I think obviously you can look at loads of different aspects of innovation and technology, and there's so many different things that you can involve, and I think technology is always going to evolve, and the more that you can understand and use technology to your advantage. I think stats have become massive, definitely down south. I think you look at Brighton and Brentford and how they recruited players and had their player sale model was crucial to the success of those clubs, and they're obviously thriving in the Premier League. And I think you look at, you've got so many different aspects at the top level, whether that's set-piece coaches, you've got so many analysts looking at different things, pass completion rates, playing forward, breaking the lines, and the amount of data that's driven by science now into football is massive. I do think that will keep expanding, but it's fundamentally not losing the roots of what football is, which is 11v11, and on the day that comes down to personal performance. The data can tell you everything to try and gauge what you want to do, how you want to do it, but it comes down to 11v11 and the pressures that football bring on the day, and can you be better than your opposition? And if 8, 9, 10 of you on the day are better than the person you're playing up against, you'll win the game.
And then finally on that, I know that we've touched on it previously, that volunteers play a huge role in the running and matchday experience for the fans in the club, but for those who are maybe not as aware and looking in sort of from the outside in, how big of a part do they really play both on a match day and through a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, the football club just wouldn't survive without volunteers. It's as simple as that. I could go on and list every volunteer that we've got and the role that they play in a match day, whether it's from 50-50 sailors, hospitality hosts, whether it's from our media team that are all voluntary, doing post-match interviews, videos, highlights, photos. It's all voluntary. We've got a safety team that plan and ensure that the ground's safe and compliant, with liaising with other clubs. You've got loads of different aspects that go into running a football game. I think there'll be 80 volunteers, from turnstile operators, from our youth coaches, from our parents that take our young players up and down the country to ensure that they can get to games. And I think without volunteers, the whole thing collapses. We've got volunteers. I think we've got over 25 volunteers in our system, on our community coaching programs, on our soccer camp, on our community initiatives. We've got so many volunteers that care about this football club that it just wouldn't run without them. You look at the works that have been done around the ground and been volunteer-led, and I know I mentioned him earlier, but Ian's been instrumental in that, and the Club 1919 committee teaming in with 10, 12, 14, 20 volunteers doing clean-up days. And we've got a lot of staff that work above and beyond the hours to try and ensure that we can run efficiently and be the best we can be. And I think it's a real effort to just put a game on a Saturday, and without all these volunteers that give up the time to have a website, to have a Twitter run, to have social media run, this football club just wouldn't be what it is. And I think that's what makes it so special, is that it's a mass of people all pulling in the same direction to make a football club successful. And I know that at any given moment you could ask any one of our volunteers, do you think we could do this? And they jump at the chance to do it, to make this football club better. And that's what's so special.
Perfect. So now I've got some quick fire questions, and then we'll move on to some questions that were sent in from social media. So my first one is your first, I know we talked a lot on that earlier, but your first ever job at the club.
Yes, my first ever job was a failed footballer, I guess. I came in as a young player at 16 and got to experience first team training and things. So that was my first job, and I've sort of picked up every role since. Helped Kev with a kit when I was younger, as I said earlier. I've done the lottery, done commercial, done community, to then do loads of different work as a trustee on the community trust board and loads of different things. So yeah, I've done a lot of the jobs. Turnstile operator, Doonhamer, ran as Doonhamer in the mascot race, cleaned the stands on a Monday with all the under-18s when we were players. And yeah, so I've sort of done every job that you could probably think of. And that's just part and parcel of working at a football club.
Your favourite ever Queen of the South player?
Oh, that's tough. I think you have to say Stephen Dobie, just for his ability and what he could do. You were always in a game. You could be 2-0 down, but Dobes was on the pitch and you were like, well, we could win this still. A moment of magic. And I think for what he's done at the football club and what he did, he was brilliant. But then you've got other characters as well to name. Lyndon Dykes, I'd mentioned earlier, he's been superb, and I think he's an inspiration to young players in the region to go and show what you can do. He worked really, really hard, worked at Queen of the South and played, and he's gone on a magnificent career. Derek Lyle, a fan favourite, you loved watching him. He was brilliant, a character, a real character in the Scottish game, and to see what he's gone on, I'd probably say they're my favourite three. So they were.
Funniest moment from behind the scenes?
Oh, there's so many of them. Quick fight. Oh, there's so many. There's so many. Some I'll not go into that were quite funny. But I think running as Doonhamer was pretty funny. We did that twice, and won the mascot race twice against all the other clubs. That was pretty hilarious behind the scenes. And I think just some of we've got a saying, me and Kev have got a saying anyway, there's no problems, only solutions, because sometimes a lot of problems can spring. So we decided that we'd go with there is no problems, just solutions, and that way we've got a way of trying to solve whatever issue that has arisen. So yeah, no, there's loads, as I said, there's so many different ones that I could speak for hours on it.
One word to describe Queen of the South?
Special. Yeah, for me, it's definitely special. Special in so many aspects. So the word I'd definitely go with special.
And your all-time five-a-side team, from players you've worked with, played with? Yeah.
Okay. Worked with and played with. All time. Just Queen of the South. I'll just go Queen of the South. Yeah. Five-a-side team. I'm going to put myself in just because I feel I have to then. And I wouldn't actually put myself anywhere near that. I reckon there'd be 10 goalkeepers I'd pick ahead of me easily. Five-a-side, so 4 more. And I'm going to just go very, very attacking because that's what I'd do in a five-a-side. I'd go Stephen Dobie, Derek Lau. I'd need a defender. Andy Dowie. And one more, I'm going to need a midfielder. I'll go Derek Young. He was superb when I first came in. So yeah, that was a five-a-side team that would challenge anybody's, I think.
And then just to finish off, we had some questions sent in across social media platforms. So the first one was, when you first came to Dumfries to play at Queen of the South, did you ever think you would be where you are now, and what has been your drive and vision?
No, absolutely not. I think I came with the idea that I'd be either a footballer after my initial 2 years and playing in the first team, or I would be back at home going to find a job and go back to university, fundamentally. So they were the 2 options that I believe that I'd have gone down. And as I say, sometimes fortune favours the brave, and there's a lot to be said about just saying yes. I obviously feel like you're never ready for the opportunities that you get given, and I've never felt ready for any of the opportunities I've been given, but I've always said yes, and I know that I'll work tirelessly to then hopefully make that a success. So the vision comes from a relentless nature to try and be the best I can be, and that's not always the best, and that's not always correct, but I just know that if I'm given an opportunity, I'll take that with both hands and tirelessly work towards achieving what's needed to be achieved.
What is your favourite part of working at Queen of the South?
I think it is knowing how important it is to everybody else, and having the privilege and having that responsibility to try and move the football club forward, and knowing that you're not just representing a 5-year-old that's first through the door, you're also representing a fan that's been here and it's their football club and they've been here 50, 60 years as a season ticket holder. My favourite bit is understanding everybody's different views and thoughts and trying to make it better for everybody that walks through the door. And I think the best bit about my job is it never feels like a job. I've never woke up and thought, it's a job, I don't really want to do it. I think I come in every day with a positive attitude, delighted to try and work hard with everybody to make the football club better.
Was the cycle across the UK difficult?
Oh yeah, one of the hardest things I've ever done. Yeah, I'm not ever going to do that again. I say it, but I've just said it there that I've never come into work not wanting to be there. There was a few mornings on that cycle where I was like, oh, I really don't want to be on a 100-mile bike ride today. Yeah, very, very difficult, and it took me to a place I didn't think I'd actually complete it, but we managed it.
Have you ever had a red card in your career?
Yes, I've had 2. One was definitely avoidable. The other one I think was a mistake, and I'll take that away. And I know the referee will maybe listen to it because they're a big Queens fan, and I still think to this day he got it wrong. And I remind him every time I see him. But no, yeah, 2 red cards, and you sort of don't know what to do when you've been sent off. So.
And then finally, who is your favourite colleague of all time?
Oh, that's a real difficult one, but I think I've mentioned him a few times. I think Kev, the groundsman's instrumental in this football club. He's just a brilliant, brilliant man. In work and out of work, I know that if you've ever got an issue with anything, I think the stories and the journeys me and Kev have been on, whether it be him coming to rescue me when my car's broke down, doing my washing when I first came, and helping each other really get through some tricky situations that have come. I'd say that I've worked with so many great people, but if I had to pinpoint one and say one person that's really helped me through the tough times every single day when they do happen on and off the pitch and at work and away from work, we're all just human at the end of the day, and Kev's been my massive rock and support network in tough times.
And one from our former goalkeeping coach, JC sent in what is the best sidewinder you've ever seen live?
Yeah, JC is convinced that he's got the best sidewinder, but there was a few. Lee Robinson was very, very good as well. So was Jim Atkinson. So yeah, those three, all three had very, very good sidewinders, so they did. But no doubt JC asked that because he wanted me to say him.
Fabulous. So that is the end. Thank you very much for joining us, sharing very interesting insights into your role and into the club. So yeah, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. Thank you.